Hello, my name is Courtney Brain, and this is the first of what will be 20 classes on the David R. Hawkins book, Letting Go, The Pathway to Surrender. All right, I'm going to go and sit down. Whew. Right. Um, this is going to be a little bit of an intro, so I invite you to whatever you need for yourself as far as just settling in from the day, whatever time of day it might be when you are watching this recording or when you're practicing, whatever point of time you are in for your routine. Um, I invite you to have already had your candle lit. I have my candle over here behind me, our presence practice candle. And the intention with the candle is to bring us together through one of the senses. So we have taste, touch, hear, smell, and feel or see. Feel and touch are always two that I mix up. But we have these senses, and while we're together over the virtual platform, I thought it would be cool for us to be engaged with our senses. So, having a candle to represent just the shared sense of one of our senses would be a way for us to practice presence in community as well. So, I'll kind of go through an intro and let you know about what my intention is with creating this series of classes as we move through some of our postures. So, from wherever you are, I want you to understand this is a yin style yoga class. There's not going to be any standing. Most of our postures are going to be either from the seated position or we'll be on all fours a little bit, and then we will spend a lot of time making an attempt to relax into our yoga poses. Okay. So, whatever props you need, please have some water nearby. If you need any blocks, if you need any straps, these aren't necessary for the practice as this is not going to be vigorous. Um, and then, of course, you've got your candle. Yeah, I invite you to just really tune into your body, really tune into the breath and be present with what you're experiencing as we prep the body for meditation and even in the process of our postures, even as we get into our postures, getting more comfortable with just surrendering the body into the posture, which is very synonymous to the overall intention for this series of yoga classes. Okay. So to begin, what we'll do is just move the spine as we breathe. You'll see that I'm sitting on blocks. So if you can come up right into a seated position, you can either cross your legs or bring the bottom of the feet together, whatever feels most comfortable for you. We're going to go ahead and take a big inhale, draw the arms up overhead. And then as we exhale, reverse the palms outward toward the walls and then lower your hands down to your side. You see why I asked if you can make snow angels or do jumping jacks? Take a big deep inhale in and exhale. We'll do that one more time. Inhale and exhale. Now, as we move, try and link the breath with movement. So as you inhale, link movement, and then when you have to stop, go ahead and stop there. So we're gonna inhale, bring your arms up overhead, and then rotate the torso to your right side. And then as you exhale, place the right hand behind you, and then the left hand to the outside of the right knee, and gently twist the spine, looking over the right shoulder. And as you continue to breathe, notice that your chest is lifting more, and you can treat that right arm sort of like a kickstand for a bike and let your spine extend to its tallest height. as you bring your gaze over the right shoulder, creating a twist from the low back all the way up through the top of the neck. Take one more exhale. And on your next inhale, go ahead and unwind, lifting both arms up overhead. And then as we exhale, twist over toward the left side. Left hand goes behind you, right hand comes over the left knee. And we create that same twist the other direction, okay? And here we're just prepping the spine to be a little bit loose because as we sit in these postures for a while, what happens is that we may feel a little bit of tightness in the back. So as you'll notice, I'm not cross-legged or sitting with the bottoms of my feet facing one another. This is the most comfortable posture for me. And I'm also on blocks because I just have really tight hips. All right. Take one more exhale here. Now inhale, reach both arms up overhead. And as you exhale, extend the palms out toward the side walls and then lower your hands to the ground. Okay, from wherever you are, we're going to make our way onto all fours, both knees underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders. And what we'll do here are just some cat cows. Again, we're just loosening up the spine as we'll be holding postures for a while. So inhale, draw your belly down to the mat, gaze goes up toward the ceiling. And then as you exhale, really press into the palms and the fingertips, rounding the shoulders and the back, drawing your belly button into your spine. Inhale, lift, belly goes down toward the mat. Exhale, round your back. Inhale. And on your exhale, round your back. Continue through this flow of cat cows, remembering to link your breath with your movement. You can feel free to, as you feel more loose, invite some rotations into it. And just notice if your toes are tucked, as you press back, feel that stretch in the toes and the feet. If you decided to make rotations, go ahead and reverse direction. You may feel some cracking, some popping. Feel that stretch in your wrists as well. And we won't really be active on the wrist today, so we won't do any additional stretches there. If you feel that this is what you need, then go ahead and take the time to just bring your fingertips out to the side of the mat, and we can just continue. We can make some more rotations through the arms. Ooh, I needed this. All right. Feel the forearms loosen up as well as the wrists. Now, go ahead and bring your fingertips back facing forward. Hands are underneath the shoulders, knees under the hips. Bring your big toes together and widen knees out as wide as your mat. And then walk your hands forward as you lift your hips high to the sky, bringing your chest down to the mat. And we're just going to take child's pose, but only briefly because we're going to go ahead and take side bends. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, go ahead and crawl your hands over toward the left side of your mat, really reaching that right hip down to the mat toward the right heel, extending through the right side body as if you're feeling that right side get taller. Take deep breaths here and see about relaxing into this posture as you exhale. So each exhale should symbolize more relaxation for you. And on your next exhale, go ahead and crisscross your arms all the way over to the other side. So now we're going to be extending the left side body, pressing through the left hip, sending that glute down toward the left heel. and extend the left side body. With every exhale, relaxing more into the posture. One more breath. And on your next exhale, go ahead and walk your hands back through center. And you can press into the mat through all your fingers and your palm, extending the arms, sending the hips back toward both heels, lowering your chest down to the mat for a child's pose. And we'll breathe here for 3 deep breaths. You can lower your forehead down to the mat. And while we're here, I want for you to consider an intention for today's practice. If you can't if you can't think of an intention for yourself, then perhaps you want to dedicate your practice either to yourself, to someone close to you, if there's someone you know who's going through something, if there is a hope that you have for yourself, anything you're looking forward to, allow for yourself to bring presence to that particular thing in this moment throughout this class. Let your practice be what guides that intention towards becoming a reality for you. All right, go ahead and exhale. Slowly make your way back onto all fours. And then we'll gently bring ourselves onto our sit bones, okay? Ooh. All right, so now that we have the spine loose, what I'll do is you'll see me looking at my phone. I have my notes for today's class as well as the timer. So I'm going to be going back and forth between looking at the timer, which for yin style yoga, we're going to be in each posture for 3 minutes, and there'll be a brief turnover where we can stretch out a little bit, loosen up before going into the next posture. But generally, what we will see for the lower part of the bodies will have a 3 minute timer, but anything that would be more upper body we'll have less time. We'll have from 1.5 minutes. Yeah, it'll be 1.5 to 1 minute and 45 seconds for the upper body postures. Okay. So to begin, let's start with something simple. We'll begin with the forward fold. If you have any props that you would like to use, please feel free to incorporate them. Uh, you can sit on your sit bones and take your hand to the outside of your glute and lift it. Come onto that side and lift the other, come onto that side so that you're removing the flesh to the side so that your sit bones are as rooted to your yoga mat as they can be. And this is also going to be more comfortable for us than just flopping down and we have skin or anything pinching like that underneath us, okay? All right, so I'm going to set my block here and we want to bring the back of our knees down to the mat. You can point your toes up towards your nose and then begin to just lean forward. If you have any props, you can place your forehead on the block. And here I will start our timer and just kind of go over what the intention of our practice is overall. Okay. Timer started. Now, as we breathe, please focus on the exhale and focus on completely detoxifying the breath that we're holding on to in our lungs. All right. So as we empty everything out, we're making space for everything new to enter the body. All right. So focus more on your exhalations than your inhalations, and you will naturally do what the body wants for you to do, which is to bring in more new breath. All right. So if you haven't set an intention for yourself, I think that one of the things that can help you get there is understanding the intention of the letting go practice. So, as you reach your hands down towards your feet and you feel yourself begin to stretch through the hips and maybe the back as well, go ahead and um, focus on those exhales and focus on really relaxing into the posture so that you can lean into it. Okay. The book Letting Go is one of the most useful books that I've ever come across for me personally. I never really made a connection to how it was supportive to me through my herpes diagnosis until a lot of the self-help books that I would read began to reference the work of David R. Hawkins. And a lot of them would talk about letting go. They talk about the range of emotions that you experience throughout a herpes diagnosis. And going from this emotion scale of essentially 0 to 100. Now, I'm not at 100 yet, but I've definitely gotten to the point at which we turn away from the negative emotions to more positive emotions. Now, for me, being open about my herpes status it still brings about some negative emotions because I'm just navigating the same thing each and every one here is navigating, only everybody knows. So it's a lot easier for me to seek support, but in the same breath, it's very challenging to receive support if people think, oh, you're at such a good place, you may not need anything, right? So the range of emotions that can come from a diagnosis are you can have that sense of loneliness, that sense of just being by yourself, no one understanding you, no one really being able to help or support you, and not even knowing really what it is that you need, right? And before I continue, that was 3 minutes, so I'm gonna stop that timer. Now, from here, you can go ahead and bring your hands to your side, fingers facing forward, and you can just bring the bottoms of your feet down to the mat and just kind of windshield wiper your knees, left to right, side to side. And what we'll do next is we're going to take a wide V, extending the legs out wide from one another. And we're going to take a forward fold down the middle. Whatever props you need, please feel free to set them down in front of you. And from here, lift your chest, taking that big inhale, draw your shoulder blades back and down, and see about hinging at the hips first. I mentioned I have tight hips, so this is all you get out of me. All right. From there, I'm just going to have to round my back, but I'm really working on that hip flexibility. So there's going to be more of that, and it's going to be difficult for me to settle into the posture. But please don't watch me. Yin is for us to uh, be in line with the intention of the posture and not necessarily the aesthetic of the posture. All right. So feet wide, hips are well, I forgot about the fleshy skin removal, not removal. Please don't peel your skin off, but just kind of slide the skin of your glutes away. So that your I have no better way of saying this, but so that your anus is touching the mat. All right. As close as possible. Oh, that sounds terrible. All right. So go ahead and lift your heart and then go ahead and hinge forward. And if it feels good for you, go ahead and walk your hands out further in front of you. And if you have blocks, you can just rest your forehead on them. But I'm going to start talking again now. Um, I thought it would be a really good idea to bring to the Something Positive for Positive People, the herpes community, that which was so useful to me throughout my diagnosis, this whole process of letting go. What it really is we have the emotion that we are experiencing, the emotion that we feel, and oftentimes it needs to be experienced. It doesn't necessarily need to be expressed, is what we learned from David R. Hawkins' work. But what we'll do is we'll either suppress it, repress it, or express it. That expression can either be conscious or unconscious, but we can do all of these things without experiencing the emotion, but we will experience the effects of the emotion, right? Have you ever been really, let's say, angry about something? I think we all can relate to feelings of anger. Angry about a thing, angry at someone. We can keep it herpes focused and just say, being mad at the person who gave you herpes, right? And anger at that person can manifest in the way of a person, let's say, maybe not wanting to disclose their status, or maybe thinking that because this happened to you, that you got to get revenge somehow. Like you want to make that person who did this to you suffer, right? And one of the there's an ancient teaching that I forget who said it, but they say that harboring resentment towards an enemy is like drinking poison and expecting them to suffer, right? So holding on to this emotion and the expression of, the resentments, and like think about what, because someone did something to you and now you have no more contact with this person, think about what you're giving to them and what you're taking away from yourself, and they're not even able to receive it, right? So we do more harm to ourselves holding on to these unchecked, unsuppressed, unexperienced emotions. I think that's a better way of putting it. If we don't allow for ourselves to experience the emotions, and the practice of yin yoga and meditation, and really being with ourselves, being in our bodies, and being with the space that we're attempting to create for ourselves, can cause a little bit discomfort, synonymously, well, the same way that the emotions can cause discomfort if we allow ourselves to experience them. So we can avoid discomfort in the body by not moving our body in that way. We can avoid discomfort of experiencing emotions by just not experiencing the emotions, but it is going to express itself one way or another. All right, go ahead and walk your hands back in towards yourself. And you can just bring your feet together, really do what needs to be done for yourself. Like here, I invite you to just kind of shake it out. You can pump the knees, you can bring those feet back up. And if you want to, left, right, windshield wiper the knees, you can. Right? But we're going to take that wide V shape with our legs once more. And this time, what we're going to do is take the left hand and glide it down the left knee, down toward the ankle. And we're going to just take a side bend, bringing the right hand up over toward that left side. And we're going to feel a stretch down the right side body, and then we'll rotate so that one hand is on either side of the left foot, and we'll feel a stretch down the low back as well as the left hamstring. Okay, so I'm going to start the timer, continue talking. That's going to be the plan pattern, y'all. Start the timer, keep talking. Okay. um so I have some notes here for letting go, and the overall premise of it is that there is no attachment here to religion. And I think that that is so beautiful, because when we talk about letting go, there's a lot of language that parallels spirituality, right? And spirituality to a religious person is like devil worship, essentially. And I know that I speak with a lot of people who might have been raised religious, Catholic, Christian, Baptist, and the concepts of faith are very much challenged by the teachings of David R. Hawkins. But the thing about it is, these teachings of David R. Hawkins are are contextually applicable to our religious practices as well, right? So um, I wrote here, like, there's no seeking out there. And this is what David R. Hawkins says. He says, notice that there's no attachment to religion or spirituality, really, nor is there a seeking out there for someone to give us the answers. What's out there are signposts to reaching in and seeing what's there. Notice the changes of your mood and what your environments look like throughout this process over the next 19 more classes that we take. Notice those discomforts that we have, the wins, the shifts. Can this be what freedom is or feels like for you? We look at freedom as sort of being able to do what it is that you want to do, but I want to challenge that definition of freedom here. I want for us to consider evaluating freedom from something. So liberation, I look at, the difference between freedom and liberation. Freedom is freedom to do whatever. Liberation is freedom from a thing. And what this process does is it liberates us from our emotions, right? And over the course of these, I've taken notes on how David R. Hawkins speaks to releasing and experiencing the emotions that we experience throughout the book. So Each of these classes is going to be broken out into chapters, and each chapter is going to deal with a particular emotion. So today's like an overview, so to speak, and giving you sort of an inside look at my intention so that we're working from that, because I don't believe in safe spaces. I do believe in intentional spaces, and I recognize and acknowledge that a lot of us are actively triggered when it comes to herpes stigma, because we deal with this on a daily basis and there's no avoiding it. Go ahead and come out of the posture here, and you can move around however you need to, do what feels good for you, right? But we're just going to take it over to the other side the same way that we got to the first side. Um, we're triggered, right? And it may not inherently be a trigger, but we're in this state constantly. And when we're reminded that we're triggered, is sort of when something stigmatizing happens. We see a herpes joke, or someone around us makes a comment or treats us differently, right? And we feel that. And as we feel that emotion, we are sort of reminded of what's kind of been running in the background the entire time. And it's just more so amplified. So the process of surrendering and letting go of and experiencing the emotion that we might have while we're dealing with our herpes diagnosis and the stigma, it's going to look like first being in touch with the body to know perhaps where we're feeling the emotion. uh, Gently glide your right hand down toward the right ankle. Take that side bend, bringing the left hand over toward the right side. And as you exhale, go ahead and roll that left shoulder forward, and then place both hands to either side of that right foot. And you can take a fold, bringing those right toes up toward the nose, and feel that hamstring stretch. All right, I got the timer going for 3 minutes. Let me check my notes again. I mentioned signposts, right? So, and how letting go was a book that most other self-help books referenced when I was reading, and it was like, wow, I'm reading all of these different books. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, No More Mr. Nice Guy, How to Win Friends and Influence People. These are just some of the titles off the top of my head that essentially reference in some form or fashion letting go, acknowledging, experiencing our emotions, having the awareness of what they are, and being willing and able to deal with them. And dealing with them not in the sense of shutting them off, shutting them down, but dealing with them as in experiencing them, knowing what they are, and deciding what we will or what we can do with the energy from them. Because what hinders us emotionally is sometimes our avoidance of the emotion and our unwillingness to deal with it. And there's so much energy, even in negative emotions, y'all, that we have that's just like bottled up inside of us. And there are studies that show, even with things like cancer and how illness manifests within the body as repressed emotions. And so for us to be able to experience the emotion, it allows for the what I envision is like stars just moving, right? And our bodies, we either choose to allow for the stars to just move through us, or we get caught up in trying to hold on to these stars, right? And stars are made of gas, and like that gas and everything that's in it, it has its makeup, its molecular structure, right? And stars explode, right? So if we don't just experience the beauty of the stars passing through us, right, and allow for them to get to the other side, they might explode in the body, in our energy field. And that explosion can be synonymous to what an illness might be, or something, a defect of the body, right? So stars synonymously to emotions are just meant to be experienced. They're not meant to be held on to. They're not meant to be avoided. Like we're gonna run away from them, and they might chase after us, right? Um, I do believe that what I find in this book to be most useful is sort of the examples that they give of people who have surrendered the emotion. They haven't given up, because that's another thing. There is a huge difference between surrender and giving up. It's not the same. Surrendering to and accepting what is not the same as giving up from even trying. Go ahead and release yourself from this posture. Shake it out and do what you need to do for yourself. It might be a few twists of the spine, whatever you need. All right. Oh, that felt good. um, so what I want to do next is going to require, this is one of my least favorite things, but we want to hit the hips as well. Um, we'll go into pigeon pose on our back, but I won't be able to do that with you because you won't be able to hear me. So I'll talk through that. So for now, what we'll do is sit upright, go ahead and peel that fleshy skin to the sides so that you're able to rest your sit bones onto the ground. I am going to place my blocks beneath my hips so that I can join you for this one. Okay. And now we're just going to bring the bottoms of the feet together. All right. And here you can take your hands underneath your feet and lifting your chest, go ahead and pull the feet up towards your nose. All right. And we're going to just be stretching the groin, and we'll also feel the chest expanding forward, shoulders drawing back and down away from the ears. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and set the timer and continue. All right. So I get, passionate, and I start painting pictures as I talk sometimes, and it doesn't always make sense, but I promise to do my best to bring it all back full circle. So as we talk about letting go, I want you to think about this as you just close your eyes as you continue to breathe through the posture. Make a fist and just clench that fist as tight as you can, right? In your mind, your mind's eye. And then go ahead and release it. Notice you don't have to force yourself to open your hand, right? With all that tension that's built up, as soon as you stop creating the tension, your hand opens up. That is very synonymous to the power of letting go and what we learned throughout the teachings of Dr. David R. Hawkins and what we'll see throughout the entirety of the book. So if you don't have to read the book yourself, but if you want to, if you choose to, it is a fantastic read, and I'm going to highlight each of the chapters, and what my important takeaways are and what notes it is that I have as we go through each of these classes. So you'll have, Courtney's perspective of letting go as it applies to herpes stigma, and the emotions that we experience translated through the emotions that we have at least language for, so that we can understand where we are, where we want to get to, and how we're going to take that path to getting there. All right. So, um, this book club, so to speak, is really an opportunity for us to, in community, and being able to share with one another what our experiences are, to go forth and really see what some of these examples can look like from other people's perspectives. And now, yes, we're just sharing the space, and no one's like sharing any of their experiences and stories, but what's happening is just the beauty of presence is a practice where if we are comfortable hearing about and receiving information surrounding the feelings that we have about our diagnosis, then there can come a time where we're able to be present with someone who is more important to us, or someone that we do want more closeness and intimacy with. And that becomes a little bit more easy for us, no matter where you are throughout this. So I don't want anybody thinking that this is like me talking to just the people who struggle with their herpes diagnosis and stigma. But this is using our herpes diagnosis as common language to recognize where we are and can be, so that as we begin to express ourselves and experience the emotions that are that we do have language for, we can use our herpes status to navigate the complexities of said emotion. Okay. Slowly go ahead and take your hands to the outside of your knees, push them in towards one another. And then if you're seated already on the ground, then you won't have to do anything else. I have to remove my blocks. Now, I'm going to demonstrate, so if you can see me and look at the camera, how I'd like for you to get into the next posture, okay? So you'll come onto your back, All right. And and again, this is where you might not be able to hear me, but you'll lie down on your back. You'll keep the bottom of the left foot on the ground. And then what you'll do is you'll be lying on your back from here. Okay. Take the right ankle to the outside of the left knee. Then you'll take the hands through um, to either side of the left leg behind the left knee. And then you'll draw your left knee into your chest like so. All right. So that was my demonstration of it. This is tough for me. Um, just because I know that the headphones don't have good sound quality when I'm lying on my back. So I'm gonna make a little bit of an adjustment so that I can join you for this posture. And I'm gonna go ahead and start my timer for 3 minutes. Okay. So um the left foot is on the ground, and then the right ankle is going to connect at the outside of the left knee. Okay. And we just take our hands through behind the left knee and draw that knee to our chest. Okay. So I'm here with you in solidarity, just sitting upright. All right. And really try and relax into this pose. It shouldn't be a struggle for you. It should just be something that you relax into, just like your emotions, right? These aren't supposed to be bad things. We have emotions that we're told are bad, but having emotions is not a bad thing. It means we're human, right? We're not just experiencing survival feelings. We may feel feelings out of a sense of a need for survival, but we're not, limited to just this one feeling or two feelings. We're not happy or sad. We can have happiness and we can carry sadness at the same time. That's essentially what grief is. Grief being relief and also guilt and also shame and a bubble of emotions that are very relatable to someone who is in fact navigating a herpes diagnosis as well, and the complex emotions that come with that. So, as we're here and as we are sharing a shared, as we are experiencing a shared sense of relatability with the emotions that we might be feeling, the process of us learning to let go partially is going to be, hearing about how we can do that, right? Because a lot of times what people ask me is, how do I get past the emotions? And people want to rush through it or people want to avoid it. It don't work like that. We got to sit still with it, feel with it, and then we can heal with it. Right? I need to put that on a t-shirt. But that's what it is, y'all. Like that's what this range of emotions. That's why we got 20 classes. We got 20 classes because there are, well, I'm not gonna say if there's 20 emotions, but there are 20 specifically touched on emotions in David R. Hawkins' Letting Go book. And I have been able to time and time again. I've read this book dozens of times, and by read I mean listen to. And each time I find something new that relates to my life experience. So while herpes might have brought us here, our life experiences are what are going to be enhanced by us taking part in and trusting in this process of surrender and understanding the emotions that we have. Okay. All right. So we got 20 seconds. I don't want to start a new topic. I'm just going to let you sit with what I've said so far before we transition. Okay. From where you are, go ahead and relax that right foot. You can extend both legs and you can just pedal the feet, pedal the knees. All right. And when you're ready, we're just going to switch. We're going to bring the bottom of the right foot down to the mat, and then we're going to take the outside of the left ankle to the outside of the right knee. And then we sit, we recline, and we just pull that right knee up to our chest, okay? All right, the timer started. So as we're in these postures, right, we're not going to touch on any particular emotion today. Today's just the intro, welcome, and getting an understanding of what our practice is going to look like so that you're a little bit more prepared, and perhaps we get out the nervousness and angst so that we can just be here, be in the class, and have an idea of what to expect. All right. Today, after having set an intention, I want you to challenge yourself and ask yourself, what was the intention of my intention? Take it a little bit of a deeper level there. And I think that within this, we can find that there might be an emotion underlying the intention, right? So if your intention was, oh, I'm gonna just dedicate this to somebody else. Okay, well, what was your intention in dedicating this to somebody else? Was that out of avoidance of, really going deep and acknowledging where you are in this moment? Was that something out of love? Does this person have any idea that you exist or that you are wishing them well? What would it be like to tell them? What would it be like to say, hey, I dedicated my yoga practice to you today? How would that make you feel? How do you feel in your body right now? Even that aside, what's your current emotional state? Take this time that we have to begin to check in with yourself, check in with your body, check in with your emotions, right? I often say, we're so quick to acknowledge and recognize what pain looks like in the body, but when you ask someone, what does pleasure feel like? What does it feel? What does a good feeling in your body feel like? I think that we all can like have this self scan of a wave throughout our body and we look for pain. And when we find that pain, we look for what doesn't feel like that. But I intend for our practice of letting go to be able to teach us to identify the thing without running from one other thing. Let's pinpoint where we feel joy in our body, when we have joyful thoughts. When we are angry, what does that feel like? When we are sad, what does that feel like? What does pleasure do to us? Does it ignite the nervous system? Do you feel electrified, right? We're going to get language for this, and we're going to use the language that we have access to through letting go and David R. Hawkins' work in order to support us in navigating the complexities of these emotions so that we can, in fact, fully experience them and begin to surrender them. And I mentioned repressing, suppressing, and then expressing emotions. And that's something that'll come up in our notes as we go through more classes as well. Okay. All right, our time is going off here. So go ahead and unwind your legs, but don't come up, okay? Just rest both of your feet onto the mat, and you can, while lying down, just windshield wiper your knees side to side, left to right. Do what feels good to you, okay? This is your body, this is your time, and this is your presence practice, all right? Now, go ahead and lie down on your back. And as restfully as you can, I want you to just clench up, right? Make a ball, bring yourself into a ball, bring your knees into your chest, and wrap your arms around your knees. Give yourself a big hug. And I want you to just exhale, bring yourself into as tight of a ball as you can, and then just flex everything in you. And then take a big inhale and just release and make yourself into like a star or a starfish, right? And now from here, take that big exhale, release everything in the lungs. And now as you inhale, go ahead and situate yourself into Shavasana, right? You can let your feet fall outwards to the sides of the mat, let your knees fall out. You can bring your palms of your hands up into the sky, like just relax, arms are to your side, and your palms are facing the ceiling for receiving. And what we want to do here is we want to receive the rest. We want to receive the practice, receive the power that comes from us being intentional and being present here. All right. And you can lie here as long as you need to. I'm going to allow for us to just experience some silence. I've been talking the entirety of the class, and it's very important that you have your space in order to integrate and process what's might be coming up for you. You might be asking yourself, you might be here, and you might be like, you know what, I didn't expect this. This ain't what I thought it was going to be. All right, that might be the case. And it's important that you honor that for yourself. So if you do need to leave, you take go ahead and part ways. Um, but I do want to offer you this bit of time for yourself to integrate what you heard in today's practice and being able to receive it in your body, because this time where you're taking a yoga class might be the only time that you don't have access to your phone unless you're using it to access the recording or the class itself. All right. So you did that. You made space for yourself to be able to participate in something that is uncomfortable, that required more stillness than movement necessarily. And it's important that you honor that for yourself, okay? So as you rest in Shavasana, palms up to the ceiling, and you really focus on that breathing, the exhales, and inviting the inhales in organically. Identify the intention of your intention. Identify the intention of your not setting an intention, and recognize what it feels like to, in fact, rest, to experience what it is to be part of a restorative practice. I won't say bye, but I will say that I'll see you on the next one.